Okay, in this lesson I'm going to show you how to set up Paperspace ModelSpace to set up several drawings out of your 3D model. Most of what we're going to do is very similar to what you did with the bookshelf project in creating your working set of drawings using Paperspace ModelSpace in Autocad 2007. Now we're going to do it with a 3D model though. Okay, so to get started, a couple things you need to do is to go to Tools, Options, and on the User Preferences tab, you may be on a different one, select the User Preferences tab, make sure that there's a check mark in Make New Dimensions Associative. Say OK, or Apply, and then OK. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new layout. So down here in the Layout tab, I click on it. Yours may say Layout 1, but mine right now I've already done some changes, so it's Layout 2. First thing I need to do is to set up the paper, so right click and go to Page Setup, go to Modify, select the correct printer, it should be the 123A printer, select the paper size, which would be letter, select the plot style, which is monochrome, the drawing orientation should be landscape, and the scale, this time unlike what you did for the bookshelf, you need to use 1 to 25.4. Since, for some reason, I don't know why, in AutoCAD 2005 they haven't given the opportunity to change the units for plotting, so we have to work with inches, and 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters. So since we're working in millimeters, that's the correct scaling. If we were working in inches, then since Paperspace, in Paperspace we usually work at 1 to 1, then we would do 1 inch equals 1 unit if we were using inch units. However, for millimeters, we're going to use 1 equals 25.4. What to plot should be layout, and then we can say OK. Then one or more viewports rendered as hidden, say OK. You probably will not get this window. And say close. So now I've got my my viewport, or a viewport. The viewport that is shown here automatically is whatever one happened to have been current when I made it. So in this case I've changed since then, and we've got this other viewport here. I'm just going to delete this one. Show you again. To put in a new viewport, we go MView. And as I said, the current viewport in the model space is the one that it defaults to here, but we can always change it. I'm just going to delete it for now. I need to insert my border, so I go File, Open, find my metric border. Now, remember that you would have to have already saved your metric border from 2007 version to file of type earlier version than 2005. So I usually save mine as an AutoCAD 2000.dwg format. Then I can open it up. Then I go to Edit, Copy, and down here it still says Select Object, so the border is not in the clipboard yet. I need to hit Enter. Then if I go back to my toy house, I'm going to put my border on the 0 layer. So I'm going to Edit, Paste, and put it inside the paper margins. Okay, now I've got my border. So for the first drawing that we're going to do, I'm going to click on the layout, right click, and rename it to Cover Sheet. Then I would go through and I'd make my changes to the border. I would want my scale to be NTS. Drawing number for the cover sheet would be 1, and then I'd put in the appropriate date. So I need a viewport here, so I go MView, and I'm I'm just going to draw out a viewport. And again, I've got the view that is currently selected in the model space. So in order to change that, I want a 3D view, so I just double click into the view, and then I can select down here any of the views that we've got. So I'm going to go to, I kind of like the first one, I think. There's the view that I'm going to use. Now, what I can do is I could shade that view, or I could make it hidden lines removed. I'm going to do that for now. Actually, I'm going to leave it as shaded, just so that you can see it. Then I'm going to double click away from the viewport, so that I'm back into paper space. Right? When I double click into the viewport, I'm in model space. Double click away from it, I'm in paper space. I want to put the viewport onto another layer, so I'm going to put it on my viewports layer. And then when I go to plot it, I'll turn off that viewports layer so that this outline doesn't show. Of course, I would copy the text and make a title. So I would copy it up